No one in that room expected the night to end like that. The gala was filled with billionaires, politicians, and people who were used to controlling everything. And in the middle of it all, stood a woman who wasn't supposed to matter. She was just doing her job. Until the most powerful man in the room suddenly stopped everything. He looked straight at her. Not politely. Not casually. Like he had already made a decision that would change both of their lives. The music faded. Conversations died. Hundreds of people turned to watch. Because whatever he was about to do was the kind of moment that destroys reputations and creates legends. Welcome to Endless Story Diaries. Before we continue this story, take a moment and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. If this story has you hooked so far, give the video a like and share it with someone who loves intense romance stories. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what comes next. Emily Baldwin learned early how to keep her voice steady when people tried to shrink her. At 28, she planned luxury events in Chicago, fundraisers, product launches, weddings where the flowers cost more than her first car. She could walk into an empty ballroom and see the finished night like a blueprint. At home, her mother still treated Emily's ambitions like a fragile thing that might break the whole family. Denise Baldwin loved her, but love came wrapped in caution. Since Emily's father left when she was 13, Denise measured life by what could be lost. Just be careful, Denise always said. Those people don't make space unless it benefits them. Emily would answer, then I'll make my own. In early December, Emily was called into an emergency meeting at her firm. Her boss, Valeria, stood by the screen with the look she wore when a client's money came with stress attached. Private gala, Valeria said. 3 weeks, fundraiser, big name. A photo filled the screen. A Korean man in a dark suit, face calm, eyes unreadable. The name underneath made the room go quiet. Whang Soo-Ho. Emily had seen the headlines. Tech billionaire expanding in the US. Rumored ties no one could prove. Not loud rich, the dangerous kind of quiet. Valeria tapped the screen. He asked for you. Emily blinked. He doesn't know me. He knows your work, Valeria said. He wants someone who can handle complicated guests. 2 days later, Emily was escorted into a private dining room at a downtown hotel. No entourage waited for her. Just one man by the window, hands behind his back, watching the city like it was a board he'd already planned to win. He turned when she entered. Soo-Ho Whang wasn't tall in a dramatic way, but the room adjusted around him anyway. His suit was crisp, expensive without showing off. His hair was dark and neat. His eyes were steady, too calm to be accidental. Miss Baldwin, he said. His English was smooth, the accent light. Every word sounded chosen. Yes, Emily, she replied, offering her hand. He took it briefly. Warm palm. Firm, polite grip. Then he let go and gestured to the chair. Thank you for meeting me, he said. Emily opened her portfolio. Valeria said you need a fundraiser in 3 weeks. Yes, Soo-Ho said. For a scholarship foundation. For who? Emily asked. For immigrant students, he answered. A pause like he decided to tell the truth. And for students who do not have support. That surprised her more than the money. Okay, she said, keeping it professional. 3 weeks is tight. We'll need fast approvals. You will have them, he said. Money is not the problem. Emily met his eyes. Then what is? Soo-Ho's gaze flicked once to the door, then returned to her. Certain people will attend who do not want me to succeed here. They will look for a weakness, and they'll find one in the seating chart? Emily asked dry. His mouth almost softened. Not the flowers, he leaned forward slightly. They will try to embarrass you because you are close to me in the room. You are visible. Emily felt a familiar sting. Visibility was a gift until it became a target. If you know that, she said quietly, why ask for me? Soo-Ho held her gaze. Because you do not bend when people push. Emily looked down at her notes to hide how that landed. Fine, she said, but I don't do surprises. If there are risks, I need to know. You will know, he promised. The next 2 weeks ran like a storm. Emily worked vendors, lighting, guest flow, Security timing. Soo-Ho approved decisions quickly and never raised his voice. He showed up to walkthroughs with the same calm control, watching the room like he was counting exits even when he was smiling at donors. One evening, Emily caught her heel on a cable and stumbled. Soo-Ho's hand caught her elbow before she hit the floor. "You're okay," he said. His touch was brief, but Emily felt it anyway, warm on her skin like a memory. She straightened fast. "Thanks," she murmured. "You don't thank someone for doing what they should," he said, as if that mattered. Emily tried to joke. "So you catch everyone who trips?" He looked at her for a beat. "Only the ones I notice." Emily turned back to her clipboard, annoyed at her own heartbeat. Gala night arrived with fresh snow and black cars stacked outside the hotel entrance. Inside, the ballroom glowed. Candlelight, gold accents, a stage framed like a promise. Emily moved through it with her headset, making sure every detail landed. When Soo-Ho entered, the air changed. People watched him like they were reading his shadow. He greeted guests with perfect politeness and gave away nothing. Halfway through the night, a woman in a champagne gown approached Emily near the bar. Her smile was sharp. Her eyes measured Emily like she was an item on a list. "You must be the planner," the woman said. "Yes," Emily answered. "Emily Baldwin. I'm Mrs. Whang," she said. "Soo-Ho's mother." Emily's stomach tightened. Mrs. Whang leaned in, voice sweet. "My son is very selective. You must be talented." Emily heard the meaning underneath and kept her face calm. "I am. Excuse me, I need to check stage timing." She walked away before her hands could shake. Then she felt it. Someone watching her with the kind of attention that could either protect or claim. Across the room, Soo-Ho was looking at her. Not casually. Not as a client checking a planner. As if he'd seen what his mother did and decided it would not happen again. He held Emily's gaze for one quiet, dangerous heartbeat. And started walking toward her. Emily's throat went dry. She reminded herself he was the client, and she was the help. Still, when he drew closer, the noise of the room faded, and she felt next moment would change everything. Soo-Ho crossed the ballroom with the same calm he carried everywhere, but Emily saw something sharper under it. His eyes went first to his mother, then back to Emily, as if he'd already decided whose side he was on. "Are you enjoying the evening?" he asked Emily, voice even. "I'm working," Emily said. Soo-Ho turned to Mrs. Whang. "Mother." Mrs. Wang's smile widened. "Soo-Ho, darling. I was just telling your planner how impressive she must be." Emily waited for Soo-Ho to play polite and distant, the way powerful men did when women around them cut with soft words. Instead, he said, "Emily is not just my planner." Mrs. Whang blinked. "Excuse me?" "She is my advisor on this event," Soo-Ho continued, tone mild. "And she is under my protection." The last part landed hard. Nearby conversations thinned, people pretending not to listen while listening anyway. Mrs. Wang's eyes narrowed. "Protection. From what?" "From anyone who forgets their manners," Soo-Ho said. Emily's heart kicked. It wasn't romantic. It was worse. It was personal. Mrs. Wang's smile tightened. "I'm sure she appreciates your kindness." Soo-Ho didn't blink. "She deserves respect. That is all." Mrs. Wang's gaze cut to Emily, cold now. "Enjoy your work, Miss Baldwin." When she walked away, the air felt lighter and more dangerous. Emily exhaled. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes," Soo-Ho said. "I did." She swallowed. "Your mother will hate me." "She survives," he replied. Then he shifted closer, voice low. "Someone is watching you." Emily's stomach dropped. "Who?" Soo-Ho's eyes scanned the room. "A man in a gray suit near the column. He arrived late." "He has watched you since my mother approached." Emily's skin prickled. She didn't turn. "Security?" "I informed them," Soo-Ho said. "But you should not be alone tonight." The gala finished past midnight. Guests drifted out in waves of laughter and perfume. Staff boxed desserts and stacked chairs. Emily stood near the ballroom doors, checking lists, her feet aching. Soo-Ho appeared beside her like he'd learned to move silently. My driver will take you home. I have my car, Emily said. Tonight you will not drive alone, he answered. You don't get to order me around. I am telling you the risk is real, he said. And Emily saw the gray-suited man lingering near the lobby, pretending to scroll his phone while watching the doors. Her mouth went dry. Fine. Outside, a black sedan waited. An earpiece-wearing man opened the rear door. Emily slid in. Soo-Ho followed, sitting across from her, leaving space between them like he was resisting an instinct. Chicago passed in blurred lights. For a while, neither spoke. The silence felt watched. Emily finally said, "What is this about?" Soo-Ho's eyes stayed on the window. My company is moving money into the US. Some people believe I am easier to stop here. And your mother thinks I'm a problem, Emily said. Soo-Ho's gaze returned to her, steady. She thinks I should marry someone who strengthens the family name. Emily let out a small, humorless breath. And I don't. You strengthen many things, he said quietly. Emily looked down, angry at how warm that felt. You don't know me. I know what you do when someone disrespects you, he said. You don't beg. You leave with your dignity. That's survival, Emily whispered. Soo-Ho nodded once. Yes. The car stopped in front of Emily's building. Before she reached for the handle, Soo-Ho spoke again. Tomorrow you will come to my office, he said. There are things you should know. Why? Emily asked. Because they think you are a weakness, Soo-Ho said. And because I have allowed them to believe you matter. Emily stepped out into the cold, breath fogging. She paused on the sidewalk. Why would you do that? Soo-Ho didn't answer right away. His eyes moved over her face as if he was memorizing it against the night. Then he said, because the truth is worse for them. Emily's heartbeat stumbled. What truth? Soo-Ho's voice stayed quiet, controlled. That I chose you. Emily walked into her building with her mind spinning, and she didn't see the gray-suited man across the street until the elevator doors were closing. He raised his phone, took a photo, and smiled. In the morning, Emily woke to 3 missed calls from her mother and a message from an unknown number. Stop playing in rooms you don't belong in. A second text followed, just her street name. At Soo-Ho's office, she was waved through too quickly. Men in suits watched her with the stillness of people trained to notice everything. Inside, Soo-Ho stood behind his desk with a folder open. Emily recognized her own face on a printed photo, the one taken across the street. You're keeping tabs on me? Emily asked. I'm keeping you safe, Soo-Ho said. Someone is building a story. They want you to look like an opportunist. They will send it to your employer, your clients, your family. Emily's stomach twisted. My family? They will use shame, he said simply. It is the cheapest weapon. Emily clenched her hands. What do you want from me? Soo-Ho came around the desk and stopped a careful distance away. I want you close where I can protect you, he said. And I want the world to believe you are close because I chose it. Emily let out a sharp breath. So, fake dating. It is, he admitted. At first, that last part landed like a quiet threat and a promise at the same time. Soo-Ho's voice softened. I will not touch you without permission. I will not trap you. But if they think you are mine, they will hesitate before they try to break you. Emily stared at him, hearing the danger, and also hearing something else under it, an edge of care he didn't know how to hide. Emily should have said no. Instead, she nodded once, terrified of what agreeing meant, and even more terrified of what walking away would cost for them. The arrangement became public before Emily had time to decide how she felt about it. A soft news site posted a grainy photo of Soo-Ho stepping out of a black car, umbrella angled just right. Emily was beside him, her face caught in streetlight. The headline sounded harmless. Whang Soo-Ho spotted with mystery woman in Chicago. By lunchtime, it wasn't harmless. Emily's mother called for the 4th time. Emily finally answered. Why didn't you tell me? Denise demanded. Tell you what? Emily asked, though she already knew. Denise's voice shook with anger and fear. That you're on the internet with some billionaire. A foreign billionaire. Your aunt sent it to the family group chat like it was a warning label. It's work, Emily said. Denise laughed without humor. Work doesn't look like that. People are saying you're involved. Emily, do you know what that does to a mother's name? Emily swallowed down her own frustration. Shame was Denise's alarm system. I'm fine, she said, softer. I'm safe. Denise didn't sound convinced. Come over this weekend. Let me see you with my own eyes. Emily agreed because refusing would only make her mother panic harder. 2 days later, Soo-Ho asked Emily to attend a charity luncheon with him in the Gold Coast. Public, he said. Cameras, safer. Emily wanted to refuse. Being seen beside him on purpose felt like stepping onto a stage she hadn't auditioned for. But she remembered the unknown text with her street name. So she went. At the luncheon, Soo-Ho introduced Emily as his partner on the foundation's U.S. work. The word partner did what it needed to do. People's eyes sharpened, smiles became strategic. A woman asked Emily where she was really from, as if Chicago wasn't a real answer. A man asked if she handled setups, like event planning wasn't a real career. Emily smiled until her cheeks ached. Soo-Ho didn't raise his voice. He didn't scold. He simply redirected the room with quiet force. When someone spoke over Emily, Soo-Ho went silent and watched until the offender heard his own rudeness. When a donor called Emily help, Soo-Ho said pleasantly, "She is the reason this foundation exists in this country." The donor turned red and apologized to the air. On the ride back, Emily stared out the window, jaw tight. "You are angry," Soo-Ho said. "Not at you," Emily answered. Then, honestly, maybe a little. He didn't look offended. Why? "Because you make it impossible to pretend things don't hurt," Emily said. "You force them to see what they're doing." Soo-Ho watched her. "Do you want to pretend?" "Sometimes," Emily admitted. "It's easier." Soo-Ho nodded once. "Easier is not always safer." A week later, Emily's job turned to a minefield. A client canceled a contract without explanation. A vendor stopped answering her calls. Then Valeria called Emily into her office, face tight. "Someone emailed a package," Valeria said. "Photos. Claims you're sleeping with a client and using our firm as cover." Emily's stomach dropped. "That's not true." "I know," Valeria said. "But clients don't care what's true. They care what's clean." "If this gets worse, I can't protect you." Emily left the office with her hands cold and her mind loud. That night, when she stepped outside her building, the gray-suited man was waiting near the curb. This time he wasn't pretending. "Emily Baldwin," he called, voice smooth. "Tell your billionaire boyfriend to stay in his lane." Emily froze. "Who are you?" He smiled. "Someone who knows what Mr. Whang really is." "And what happens to women who get too close?" Emily backed toward the door, fingers shaking around her keys. "Leave me alone." The man took a step closer. "It's business." He looks distracted, and people get nervous when the boss looks distracted. "Boss?" Emily's voice came out thin. The man's smile widened. "He didn't tell you?" "That's cute." Emily's breath caught. Then the man stopped moving. His eyes flicked past Emily's shoulder, and the smugness drained from his face. Soo-Ho's voice came from behind her, calm as ever. "Step away from her." Emily turned. Soo-Ho stood a few feet behind, coat on, expression unreadable. No weapon, no shouting. But the air felt heavier, like the sidewalk had remembered who was dangerous. The gray-suited man forced a laugh. "Mr. Whang. Fancy seeing you. You have taken enough photos," Soo-Ho said. "You have delivered enough messages." "I'm just doing what I'm told." Soo-Ho stepped closer with slow control. "Tell them this. If they touch her life again, I will touch everything they love." The words were quiet. Emily believed them anyway. The man swallowed, glanced around at nearby cameras, and backed away. "This isn't over," he said, and hurried into a waiting car. Emily stared after him, shaking. Soo-Ho turned to her. His eyes moved over her trembling hands, the tightness in her mouth. "Are you hurt?" Emily tried to speak, but her voice broke. "He said things about you. About what you do to women." For the first time, anger leaked through Soo-Ho's control. Focused, contained. "He lied," Soo-Ho said. But they will keep lying. Emily swallowed hard. Why me? Soo-Ho's gaze softened, and that softness hurt more than the threat. Because you feel real, he said. And they want nothing real near me. Emily looked away, breathing fast. This was supposed to be fake. For them, Soo-Ho said, voice lower. Not for me. He held out his hand, palm up, an offer he didn't demand. Emily stared at it for a long second. Then she placed her shaking hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm, steady, and Emily realized she had never felt protected like that in her life. 2 nights later, Emily drove to her mother's house with Soo-Ho's security car following at a distance. Denise opened the door, saw the black sedan, and went rigid. Emily hadn't even stepped inside before her aunt's voice rose from the living room. Lord, she really brought him here. Emily felt room judge her instantly. Denise's house smelled like fried chicken and worry. Emily stepped inside with her shoulders squared, pretending she didn't feel 12 again. Her Aunt Rochelle sat on the couch with a tight mouth and a phone in her hand like evidence. 2 cousins hovered in the doorway to the kitchen, watching. Denise didn't hug her. She looked past Emily toward the street. Why is there a black car outside? It's security, Emily said. Just being careful, Rochelle snorted. Careful. Or dramatic. Emily, people are talking. Church people, family people. They're calling you everything but your name. Emily forced her chin up. Let them. Denise's voice dropped. This isn't just gossip, this is danger. Are you involved with that man or not? Emily opened her mouth, but the truth felt too big for that living room. It started as work, she said. Rochelle lifted her phone. Work doesn't come with headlines. Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket. Unknown number. You can't hide behind him forever. Her skin went cold. She turned her screen off fast. Denise noticed anyway. Emily, she warned. A knock sounded at the door. The room went still. Rochelle's eyes widened. Tell me that's not him. Emily's heart kicked. I didn't invite him. The knock came again, patient and controlled. Denise walked to the door and opened it a cautious inch. Soo-Ho stood on the porch in a dark coat, hands visible, posture respectful. Behind him, a man waited by the black sedan, scanning the street like it was his job to see trouble before it arrived. Mrs. Baldwin, Soo-Ho said. Thank you for allowing me to come. Denise didn't step aside. Why are you here? Because my presence has pulled your daughter into attention she did not ask for. Soo-Ho answered. I wanted to speak to you directly. Rochelle rose. To do what? Flash your money and act like we should be grateful. Soo-Ho's expression didn't change. No. Denise hesitated, then opened the door wider. Come in. Soo-Ho stepped inside like he understood the weight of the threshold. Emily watched her relatives straighten, their judgment sharpening because now it had a face. Rochelle crossed her arms. So what's the plan, Mr. Whang? You play with her, then your mother drags you back to some rich girl? I do not play, Soo-Ho said. And my mother does not choose for me. Denise's gaze cut to Emily. Is he choosing you? Emily's face heated. Mom, Soo-Ho spoke first, gentle but firm. Yes, he said. I am. Silence filled the room. Even Rochelle's mouth stopped moving. Denise's voice trembled. Why? Soo-Ho didn't rush. Because she is honest, he said. Because she holds her dignity like it is not something to bargain with. Because she makes rooms better without asking permission. Emily's chest ached at the intimacy of hearing herself described that way. Rochelle scoffed. That's a speech. It is also the truth, Soo-Ho said. Denise swallowed hard. Your mother won't accept this. I know, he replied. And people like you, Rochelle added, don't marry people like us. Not for real. Emily flinched despite herself. Soo-Ho's gaze moved to Emily, and his voice softened. I understand what the world expects, he said. I also understand what I want. Denise stared at him, then at Emily. If this is real, she said carefully, then why is my daughter getting strange calls? Why does she look like she hasn't slept? Emily froze. Soo-Ho answered before Emily could lie. They are trying to scare her away, he said. They have tried to damage her work. They have watched her home. Denise's face drained. Why would anyone do that? Because she is close to me, Soo-Ho said. They touched her to see if I would feel it. Rochelle let out a harsh laugh. So she's a test. Soo-Ho's eyes turned cold, and for the first time the room understood the rumors had teeth. No, he said. She is not a test. She is the person they endangered. That is why I am here. Denise's voice broke. Then leave her alone. Soo-Ho's gaze didn't move. If I leave, he said, they will still punish her for being seen with me. I will not abandon her. Emily's eyes stung. She hated how much she needed those words. Denise took a long breath, the kind that sounded like surrender. If you hurt her, she said, I will pray against you every day. Soo-Ho nodded once, serious. That is fair. He stood to go. At the door, he paused. In 10 days, there is a press conference for the Foundation's national launch, he told Denise. My mother will be there. So will the people targeting Emily. I would like you to come. Denise frowned. Why would I walk into that? Because they use isolation, Soo-Ho said. I want her surrounded by people who love her, even if they are afraid. After he left, Rochelle whispered, This is going to end badly. Emily stared at the closed door, her fingers still warm where Soo-Ho had brushed them in goodbye. She didn't know how to explain to her family or to herself that the scariest part wasn't the threats. It was the way Soo-Ho looked at her like he was already falling and like he planned to do it in public. The next day, Denise received a call from a private number. A woman's voice, crisp and controlled, introduced herself as Mrs. Whang and offered a gift if Denise convinced Emily to end things quietly. Denise didn't accept, but the insult sat in her chest like a stone. That evening, Soo-Ho drove Emily home himself. At a red light, he asked, Did they hurt you with words? Emily stared at their joined hands in her lap, his thumb barely moving, a quiet reassurance. They've hurt me with words my whole life, she said. I'm just tired of believing them. Soo-Ho's voice went softer. Then don't. Emily looked up, and she forgot it was supposed to be pretend, because his eyes didn't pretend either. The day of the Foundation's national launch arrived with cold sunlight and a knot in Emily's stomach that wouldn't loosen. She stood in Soo-Ho's penthouse bathroom, staring at her reflection, while her hands trembled around her clutch. Her dress was deep blue, elegant, the kind that made people treat you like you belonged. She didn't feel like she belonged anywhere. Soo-Ho appeared in the doorway in a black suit, calm as ever. You look beautiful, he said. Emily tried to laugh. Is that part of the plan? It is not, he replied. It is just true. On the drive downtown, Emily's phone buzzed with another unknown number. Last chance. Walk away before you're humiliated. Emily deleted it, but her fingers shook. Soo-Ho covered her hand with his, not gripping, just steadying. Breathe, he said. At the riverfront venue, glass walls framed the city. Cameras lined the front rows. Donors clustered in groups. Reporters smiled too brightly. A stage waited with a large screen behind it showing the Foundation's logo. Emily spotted her mother near the back, standing stiffly beside Aunt Rochelle. Denise's eyes met Emily's, fear there, but also the stubborn love that made her show up anyway. Across the room, Mrs. Whang stood with elegant women, her face composed and cold. A few steps behind her, the gray-suited man lingered like a bad shadow. Emily leaned closer to Soo-Ho. He's here. I know, Soo-Ho said. Stay close. Soo-Ho stepped to the podium, and the room quieted as if money itself had asked for silence. He spoke simply, about immigration, about being underestimated, about students who carry talent like a secret. It didn't sound like branding. It sounded like memory. When he finished, a reporter stood, eyes sharp. And your relationship, should we call her your girlfriend? Is that part of the Foundation or part of the distraction? Emily felt heat crawl up her neck. Before Soo-Ho could answer, the screen behind him flickered. The Foundation logo vanished. A photo of Emily beside Soo-Ho filled the screen, followed by bold words that punched the air out of the room. Gold digger. Paid companion. Fraud. Denise's hand flew to her mouth. Rochelle went rigid. A few people gasped like they were watching an accident. Emily went cold. For a split second, she wanted to run, to save herself from being the joke, the lesson, the headline. Soo-Ho turned slowly, looked at the screen, then faced the room again. His calm didn't crack. It sharpened. He lifted a hand, cut the screen. The image stayed. Soo-Ho looked toward the side of the stage. One of his men moved. The screen went black. Silence dropped heavy. Soo-Ho stepped away from the podium and walked to the edge of the stage. "This is what they use," he said, voice steady. "Not truth, shame." His gaze locked toward the back. "Mr. Han," he called. The gray-suited man froze. Soo-Ho's voice carried. "You have followed Miss Baldwin. You threatened her family. You sent false packages to her employer. You hacked this screen because you were paid to sabotage this foundation." The man tried to smile. I have your bank transfers," Soo-Ho said. "And a recording of you admitting it." The smile died. Two uniformed officers moved in. The room buzzed as they reached the gray-suited man, took his arm, and guided him away while he muttered that it wasn't fair. Mrs. Hwang's expression tightened, the first crack in her composure. Emily's knees felt weak. She stared at Soo-Ho like he'd just lifted a weight off her chest with one sentence. Soo-Ho turned back to the crowd. "They targeted Emily because they believed she would be easy to break," he said. "Because they believed I would choose what is acceptable instead of what is right." Then he stepped off the stage and walked directly to Emily. Cameras lifted instantly. Soo-Ho stopped in front of her. "Emily," he said, quieter now. "I told you this started as fake for them." Emily's eyes stung. "Soo-Ho," he shook his head once. "Let me speak." He turned slightly so the room could see them. "My mother believes love is a transaction," he said. "The world believes a man like me would never choose a woman like you unless it was a game." Mrs. Hwang stared as if the sentence slapped her. Soo-Ho's gaze returned to Emily, and something in his face softened so openly it almost hurt. "I didn't choose you because you were convenient," he said. "I chose you because you are brave when you're afraid. Because you keep your dignity even when you're shaking. Because you made me want to be better than the rumors about me." Emily blinked through tears. Soo-Ho reached into his coat and pulled out a small velvet box. A gasp rose from the crowd, loud and involuntary. Denise made a sound that was half sob, half prayer. Soo-Ho opened the box, the ring catching the light like a dare, then dropped to one knee in front of the people who wanted Emily humbled. His voice went rough. "Emily Baldwin," he said, "I am in love with you. Not as a plan, not as a cover. As truth." Emily's whole body shook. "Marry me," Soo-Ho said. "And let them watch me choose you every day." Emily looked back at her mother. Denise's eyes were wet, but she nodded once, small and trembling. Emily turned back to Soo-Ho and let her hand fall into his. "Yes," she whispered. Soo-Ho's breath broke like he'd been holding it for months. He stood, slid the ring onto her finger with careful hands, and pulled her into his arms, tight enough to be real, gentle enough to be safe. Cameras flashed. People murmured. Mrs. Hwang stared as if the world had disobeyed her. Emily pressed her face against Soo-Ho's shoulder and heard him murmur near her ear, low and certain. "The truth is worse for them," he said. And in that room, in front of everyone who had doubted her worth, Emily finally believed it. And just like that, everything changed. What started as a dangerous arrangement turned into something neither of them expected. Something real, something powerful. And something the world tried very hard to destroy. But in the end, Soo-Ho chose Emily in front of everyone, and this time, the truth was stronger than every rumor. "Now I want to hear from you. If you were in Emily's place, would you have trusted him from the beginning? Or walked away before everything got this dangerous? Tell me in the comments. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Endless Story Diaries for more intense romance stories filled with secrets, power, and unforgettable choices. Because the next story might change everything again.